This crypto scanner cost 26 cents to build. This one cost 69 cents. Both were written by an AI in under 2 minutes. Both shipped working code, first try. Both reached the same number 1 pick. The question is, which one is actually worth your money? OpenAI dropped GPT-5.5 in their API 3 days ago. $5 per million input tokens, 30 per million output. Claude Opus 4.7 has been the developer favorite for months. 15 and 75, 3 times the cost. So I gave both AIs the same $10,000 freelance brief, charged the API calls to my own credit card, and watched them build it. Here was the brief. Build a crypto top mover scanner, pull live prices for 10 coins from Binance, compute 4 signals: momentum, volume strength, news sentiment, volatility, rank the top 5 tradable coins for the next 24 hours. Render the whole thing as a Streamlit dashboard with sparklines, news headlines, and a refresh button. Production grade Python, type hints, error handling, no shortcuts. Deliver it as one runnable file. The kind of project that pays a senior freelancer $10,000 on Upwork. Same prompt, same system message, same temperature. Sent to both APIs at the exact same moment. I captured every byte they returned. Round 1, speed and cost. Claude 4.7 finished first. 90 seconds, 8,997 output tokens. Cost, 69 cents. GPT 5.5 took a bit longer. 101 seconds. 8,639 tokens. But here's what surprised me. The total cost from OpenAI, 26 cents. That is 62% cheaper than Claude. Same prompt, same task, same output volume. Round 1 to GPT 5.5 on cost. Round 1 to Claude on speed. Tie. Round 2, code quality. Claude wrote 449 lines. Tight, dense, professional. 4 more try accept blocks than GPT 5.5. Every external API call wrapped in error handling. Logging configured properly. The kind of code another engineer can drop into production without rewriting half of it. GPT 5.5 wrote 601 lines. 150 more lines for the same task. Some of that is real complexity. Extra helper functions, extra constants. Some of it is verbosity. Comments where Claude trusted the reader to understand the code. Less defensive on the network calls. If you are shipping this to production and it has to survive a Binance outage, Claude's version handles it cleaner. Round 2 to Claude on engineering. One specific example. Claude wraps every parse block in a try except. 7 separate guards across the pipeline. GPT 5.5 centralizes everything into one safe float helper that gets called from 20 different spots. 3 try blocks total. Both work, both are valid. Claude's approach is more defensive at every step. GPT's approach is cleaner architecturally. 6 months from now, when an upstream API changes one field's response shape, Claude logs a warning and keeps the rest of the pipeline running. GPT's helper returns a default, and you might not notice the data is degraded. Small differences, they add up. But here's where the comparison gets interesting. I booted both Streamlit apps, same machine, 2 different ports. Both worked first try, 0 edits, 0 debugging. The code just ran. And then they did something I did not expect. Both AIs picked the exact same coin as the number 1 tradable asset for the next 24 hours. Polkadot DUT. Claude scored it at 79.3 out of 100. GPT 5.5 scored it at 78.7. Almost identical ranking. They reached the same conclusion, independently. With different code paths, with different lines of analysis. That tells me something important. The reasoning layer of frontier AI is starting to converge. When you give 2 different models the same data and the same scoring formula, they reach the same answer. The model is not picking the winner. The methodology is. That changes how you should think about hiring an AI for analysis tasks. If two different frontier models with different training data arrive at the same answer, you have actual signal, not a coin flip. Think about what that means for cost. If you're running an AI agent that does market analysis 100 times a day, and the answers are converging, you should be using the cheapest model that still arrives at the right answer. For analysis tasks alone, that is GPT-5.5. Almost $16,000 a year out of your bottom line if you are running these calls at scale. The premium for Claude only pays off when the task is something Claude is genuinely better at. Long-form reasoning, code that ages well. Multi-step agent loops, not pure ranking. So if both shipped working code and both reach the same answer, what actually differentiates them? Look at the dashboards. Claude 4.7's UI is minimalist. Clean cards, emoji headers, sparklines, 8 bytes of polish per element. It looks like a dashboard a senior developer would ship to a client. GPT 5.5's UI is more verbose. It explains the methodology on screen. The composite score formula is right there in the header. Every metric is labeled with units. Spot prices are written out to the dollar. It looks like a dashboard a senior developer who also writes documentation would ship. When I look at them side by side, I think GPT 5.5's actually looks slightly better. Not by a lot. But the methodology being visible on screen is genuinely useful for the end user. It tells them what they're looking at without making them open the source code. Round 3 to GPT 5.5 on user experience. But there is one more test that matters more than any of these. Both scanners called Reddit's public JSON API for news headlines. Both got 0 headlines back. Reddit has been rate-limiting unauthenticated requests harder lately. Both AIs handled the empty response by defaulting news sentiment to 50 out of 100. Neutral, no exceptions thrown, no crashes. Both shipped graceful degradation. The dashboards rendered. The rankings still worked. But neither flagged the failure visibly to the user. If you were paying $10,000 for this deliverable, you would want a small warning banner saying news source returned no data. Both AIs missed that. That tells me something about both of them. They write production-grade code on the happy path, but the soft failure path. The difference between a tool that works and a tool that is trustworthy. That still requires human review. Neither model is at the point where you can ship its output to a client without reading the code. So who wins? For 90% of freelance jobs you would put on Upwork, GPT 5.5 is the rational pick. 62% cheaper. Same correct answer. Slightly better visual polish. If your project is one-off, cost-conscious with a quick turnaround, the math is not close. Use GPT. Claude 4.7 is for the 10% where code maintainability matters more than cost. Production code bases that another engineer is going to maintain for 6 months. Multi-step agent loops, where every type hint and every try accept compounds. Long-form coding, where the difference between 100% reliable and 95% reliable means you ship versus you debug at midnight. The premium is real and you get what you pay for. But the premium is not for every job. For pure analysis, tasks where both models reach the same answer. Save your money. Use GPT 5.5. For complex multi-step coding agents where reliability over time compounds, pay for Claude. The question is not which AI is smarter. The frontier models are converging on intelligence. The question is which AI is better at the specific job you are hiring it for. I spent 95 cents on this comparison. Both got the same right answer. The cheaper one looked slightly nicer on screen. The more expensive one will be easier to maintain 6 months from now. That is the honest verdict. On Thursday, I am dropping the next video. I gave Claude 4.7 $100,000 of paper money and turned it loose on crypto markets for 72 hours straight. Live decision-making. Real market volatility. No human intervention. The agent is running right now as you watch this. If you want to see what Frontier AI does with 72 hours and $100,000 on the line, hit subscribe and turn notifications on. Thursday morning, the dashboard goes live with the full results. And if you want to run this exact comparison yourself, the prompt I used, and the full code outputs from both AIs are linked in the description. Run them on your own task, maybe try a different brief. See which AI fits the job you actually have in front of you. Drop a comment with what you find. Thanks for watching. Go build something.